Hi all, it's Kylie from Kylie's Card Craft. Thanks for joining me again today. Back with our lessons for our altered book. Now, as I said before, we'll be doing two. I'll be doing two. So one, I will show you what we're creating. Then I'll teach you how to create it. And then I'll show you what the next lesson is. One thing I did forget the other day, and I was saying you need a pair of scissors, sharp point scissors. And this is the reason. Once we got all our signatures out, you're left with this. Now, for those of you that have found your books, have taken your signatures out and all the rest, you've maybe already done this and you're a step ahead of me. That's good. If not, what you need to do, which is why we needed ones with a really sharp tip, go in and trim those at as close to the spine as you can. They're not going to come apart because, as I said before, these ones with the signatures where they're sewn in are actually glued right at the end. So they're glued to the little ribbon piece that holds in your signatures. So these ones are not going to come out, which is why we can trim all these out. They're not going to come away. So once you've done that and you've got your book's going to probably be a fair chance it's going to be a different size than mine. So I will give you vague sizes, but you've got to remember you're going to need to work to the size of your book. So for today, I never do my front ones until later on, okay? It's just me. Sorry, it's one of my quirks. So I've gone in a couple of pages. So if we go to the other book, you'll see they're exactly the same. So here's that one. There's that one. And I've gone to the first page I have of writing, which for me is page 11. And this is what we're going to learn how to do today. So it's our first flip. I want lots of flips and things like that in this book, as I was saying before. So with today's one, here's our first flip. And I like these because I can lay them just about flat. We're going to use an envelope. So it's how to do a basic envelope flip. So this one will have a pocket in the front with a tag. I haven't decorated my tag yet. With journaling space on the back. Now I've put a brad in that. Whether we continue to do that or not is another thing. This is your envelope. Okay? So you can't see where it is. I'll show you that bit later on. That's next month. And that's next week's. This is the back of our envelope. We have journaling space. We then have another journaling card ready to journal on, which again, I haven't decorated yet. I will do all those towards the end once the book tells me really what it wants to be, as I said before. And then on our base page, I've got a corner tuck and I've got another journaling card. But you can always journal on this as well. I tend to do these a fairly plain colour, just a little bit of mottled. And this is where I'm using the WhichCraft Do You Do pages packs. Because they're very mottled, give me a little bit of colour going on without being completely plain. So that one just goes in there. So this is what we're going to create today. Okay, so what you're going to need, I'll let you know what we're needing. If you need to then pause so that you can come back on with me. We're going to need an envelope. Strange that, isn't it? It can be any envelope as long as it fits your book. So I'll just move this one over. Pull out the book that we're going to be doing today. It needs to fit in your book. Now it can fit all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom and all the way over here. It can be smaller than this if you like, but you need an envelope that will fit in onto your page. So that's first. It can be any colour you like because we're covering it, okay? We also need something as a background. Again, mine you'll find will all be in these natural tonings, vintagey natural tonings. If you're into brights, get your supplies with your bright colours and all the rest. So here is my backing page. Now that was one digital and I've been able to cut it in half and get the two from it. Simple as that. So that, as I said before, was from WhichCraft Do You Do, and it's from the Pages pack. So if I just flick over here and I'll let you know which one it was. Pages pack. And it is number 6. So that's that page. Okay. So I'm using number 6 if you're following along exactly with me. There will be a few things you can't because, as I said before, I've pulled out some of my old scrapbooking paper because I want to use them up. I'm sure you've either got other digitals floating around or bits from scrapbooking or card making, pattern paper, things like that. So we're going to need that. We're going to need that, okay? What we're also going to need is something to go on the front of our envelope. So a digital, patterned paper, book page, something or other to cover the front of our envelope. So what I've found is I've got these, which were a script thing from the Junk Journal Studio. And I like this, okay? Wasn't necessarily the colour, it was the writing that got me. So this is what I'm using on the front of my envelope. You will also need something for your tag to go on the front. So I've pulled out some of my old scrapbooking paper and I told you it's old. Look at it. I won't use that in a pink fit. I've had it forever. So I pulled that out but I love this side. So I'm going to use that. And in saying some of my old scrapbook paper, I had some card. It's an off-white. So if you see it beside that, it's a slightly off-white. But it's a really thin cardstock. So it's great for backing my journal cards, my tags, things like that. It gives me a nice colour on the back to journal with, but I can adhere anything I want on the front. So I've cut some sheets of those. I had some 12 by 12 sheets of these ones. It's got something on it already. And I've cut them into 4-inch wide strips. So I've got 3 strips. So I've done a couple of sheets and I've got 3 strips off each sheet. So they're 4 inches by 12 inches. And I've just got them sitting with all my other supplies, ready for tags, ready for journal cards, so that I can just chop them to the size that I want. The other thing you're going to need, and it may be a bit late if you've already gutted your book and maybe chucked all your book pages from it, I don't know. Whenever I gut a book, whether I tear them out if they're all glued or if I can get them out when they're signatures, I keep all these bits, okay? I love the texture of them. I love the colouring, especially in these older ones. So anything that's got, plain pieces, I keep those. And if you look, you can't see over here, so I'll grab it for you. How's that? Over here we go. Right beside me, I have an envelope full of where I've got books that I've taken out those bits from. They're a lovely colour. They're usually a wonderful texture and weight, and so they're just there for when I want colours on the back or plainer colours to journal with, or when I want to stamp something. So I always have those on the go, and they're probably a good idea to get into the habit of, and then you're not rifling through all these gutted pages looking for them. So as you go, when you're gutting them, put the plain ones aside. So you will need some of those, okay? And a few little odds and sods, some book pages and bits and pieces, but that's about it. So first things first, what we're going to do is get our envelope ready. So I'm just going to set this one aside, move this one over here, set that one just to the side for the moment, and we're going to actually adhere our base onto that. So this is my base. So I'm just going to trim down 2 sides. So I'll trim off that bit. If we know what we want to start with, and I will show you at the end of this one what it is we're going to make next time and what you'll need for it. Okay, I think that would probably be the best thing. So for our next lesson, class, lesson, whatever you want to call this, we'll have it sorted that way. You may even get homework. You never know. Right. I'm not worrying about this bit at the bottom because I'm adhering it up here. So you'll see that this one just slightly fits over that and down. And then I can turn it over and trim. Make sense? So we're going to glue the entire section of the front of our envelope. Now, our envelope needs to flip, because this is the first page, it needs to flip from left to right. Okay? Left to right. So that when we adhere this one on, our wording is at the top here. Does that make sense? So we'll glue this, because I have a horrible habit of turning things around as I go so that they're easier and so they're not as far away from me when I'm filming, and so that you're not just seeing my big buff head straight under the camera and nothing else anyway. So I tend to turn things around. Make sure you go all the way to your edges. I'm just using my glue stick here, lifting that up, move my glue. I'm going to turn it this way. This is the top. See, here's my flap. So this is the top, and I've turned it a little bit more, and I'm just going to use this finger, holding all this up, and I'm going to match up that corner. And then I'm going to just run it down there, and then smooth it straight down. So with a scraper or an old credit card, something like that, just give it a good push, which just make sure you get no little bubbles in it or anything else. And then we're just going to push down, making sure all our edges are well and truly glued down. And then we're going to trim this off. Now, it is up to you whether you want to trim using scissors, a knife, your trimmer, whatever. Just watch that you don't cut through your envelope. It's not a big deal. You can, you know, put a little bit of washi tape around or things like that. This one tends to be the bigger problem if you cut through that. And then you're going to have to really put some washi tape on there to try and get it back together, because that is your flip. But the rest of it, don't fret too much. Just pop some other paper around there for when you glue your other side on. But if you're concerned about it, do it with scissors, because then you can just do it carefully as you go along. All right? So here's this piece. Now, everything I'm doing, I'm going to ink in my gathered twigs. I want this dark so that you can see all the edges. And I'm not going like this. All I'm doing is literally just running down the edge. Don't know if you can see. Can you see the white core colour of my copy paper where I've copied this out, where I've printed it out? That's really all I'm trying to achieve. I just want to get rid of that core colour. So if I sit that there, you'll see there's nothing there, but there's just a little bit of an edge there. That's all I'm doing. I'm not over inking or anything else. That's what I'll do with all of this journal. So here's our basic envelope, which is going to sit in here. I want to get the rest of the front done. I want to pop a pocket on here. Now, going again to my WhichCraft Do You Do ones and into the mini journal, mix and match mini journal. I love these. Now, these were for a mini journal. Doesn't mean you can't use them for other things. I really like, you can see I've chopped it out there, so I'm going to chop the same one out. So most of them will be exactly the same between the two journals. There will be the odd time when I'll have something a little bit different. But yours will be different anyway for the most part. Unless you're getting the exact same digitals. I will pop a link again to the WhichCraft Do You Do digital page on here. I will attempt to get a link for the, so I'm just going to take out literally this bit. This is the one that I want. I will attempt to get a link for the, what was it? Journal Studio, my journals, the Junk Journal Studio. The other digitals that I've got that I tend to use a little bit of are from Graphic Fairy. Now, I've joined their membership site. You can just sign up for their newsletter and you'll get a freebie every week. I think I did that for 2 years. It would have to have been at least 2 years. And I finally signed up for their membership one. I think it costs me, this is Australian, I think it's $15 a month. It allows me to get all of their digitals that they've done anytime I want. So, and they put a new one out every week, usually a kit. So I've got little bits of this one, little bits of that one, little bits of this one, because again, I'll just go and print what I want at the time. So you'll see this is a little bit large. I want to even this up so that I'm not a bit wonked. Does that make sense? So all I'm going to do, because I want it to match this, I've put the pencil away. I'm just going to sit this on here and mark round about even both sides. So it goes from there and it goes from there. So I'll set that one on my line. Oh look, this one will be easier with my trimmer. I've got my little guillotine for just bits and pieces like this. So I don't know if that's in shot. Yes, it is. Look at that. So I'll set that down there. I tend to work at the bottom. I was watching, I don't know, YouTube the other week, and I noticed that there's been quite a few that actually work up the top. So it's whatever works for you. I tend to work down the bottom, mainly because it's close to me and I can see it. And two, because my little guillotine sits to the side of me and I can just reach over most parts and actually just use it then and there. I'm not going to want this whole thing. So you can see he fits on there nicely, but I'm not going to want the whole thing. I'm going to trim him off about there. I'm just going to look down. That's about where I'd like the size of this pocket to be. So that's about, sit that on the side so we can all see it. It's about 2 1/4 inches. Okay, so I'll trim that back to 2 1/4 inches. Now the bit that I'm cutting off, we're going to keep, because why not? This makes wonderful little bits and bobs in your clusters and when we're decorating our tags and stuff later on. So again, I'll do the same. I'm going to get rid of that little edge bit, and I'm still using the same amount of ink that was on there before. So I'm not really inking, I'm just getting rid of that white edge. And this one can be adhered straight down like that, nice and easy. I have replaced the glue, got brand new glue in here to make this quicker, but it's coming out like mad today, so it's not really making it quicker because I'm mopping up so much glue, it's not funny. We've got a rather warm day here again and hot northerly winds, and I think we're on 37 degrees, total fire ban, etc, etc. So we're all hunkered down inside. Alright, so I've just done around 3 edges, and I'm going to pop that right into that bottom corner, over into that corner, and just go up. Okay, you can see it oozing out. So I'll just grab a piece of, try and find a fairly cleanish piece of paper towel. Get that. But yeah, she's it was fine this morning when I changed it up. I couldn't sleep and got up early and came out and was playing around and thought, oh, I'll change the glue over. And it was beautiful first up, but as the day's gone on, because it's now, I don't know, 3:30 or something in the afternoon, it's starting to go boom. Right, so here's the front. Nice and easy. We're going to turn it over. We're going to do our back. Now, have you got our envelopes and you go, how do I cover the back and still get all this? I'll give you a cheater's way, I suppose would be the best way to do it. So we want, what we want are our, what did I just do with them? Those pieces from your book that you've gutted. These ones. So I'm going to need a full page for this one because I don't want anything on there. So let's have a look. Let's even see if we can undo them. There's one. Right. So all we're going to do is adhere this down like so. Doesn't have to go all the way to the top. Okay, but we want it to go right to the edge of that. So we're going to ink this up. Before I do it, I'm just going to go down with my ink pad and do the bit that I can't do. Okay, so that's going to go up to here. I need to go a little bit further down. All right. Because it's too hard to get my ink pad back in here later on. So once again, we'll go to the book. We will glue this. Now, when we go to glue this, you'll find that if you glue, you'll get all this and you'll glue all in here. Okay? So what I want to do is just... Oh, there's Bertha. All right. So what we're going to do is just tuck that in there like that. So now I can glue along here. It doesn't matter about this because I'm going to glue this shortly anyway. So again, just with our glue stick. Are you keeping up? Or have I gone too fast? Sorry. You will... As I said, I will give you the next lessons today when we're finished, so that you can be prepared for those of you that are following along with me. And I know there's a few of you out there, so thank you very much for your comments to say that you're doing this one with me as we go. We're going to pull this one out. We're going to go back to my little piece of... There he is. I'll put him over there, of this. And again, I'm going to just sit him in, run him down there. Straighten him out. You'll see that it's gone a little bit under there. Don't worry about it, because that's going to be covered shortly anyway. All right. So once again, we're going to trim this bit. I'm actually going to trim this bit first so that I've got a longer piece available to me for something else later on. Again, if you're worried about hitting your envelope, use your scissors. You can usually feel, if you're using a blade and you've got it lined up dead on that, especially when you're using book paper, you can feel that it's just slowly going through it and it's nice and easy to go through. It'll get harder to cut through once you start to hit your envelope. Right, so we can ink this bit. Okay, that's all I need to ink, that and that, because I'm going to put something over there. So back to, I'm just going to get rid of that knife, back to my WhichCraft Do You Do. And in my, no, it was in the Mix and Match mini journal from memory. Right, on to page, this one. Page this one, that worked well, didn't it? So this is page 16. I love this. And it matches with the pocket that's on the front. And you also get all the corner tucks from it as well. So I'm just going to pull that one out. I've used this quite a lot. So I think I've got 2 or 3 different part cut sheets in there. I really like these borders. They're technically, they're belly bands, but I just love them. So I'm just going to trim off that bit, because I don't need that bit, and I don't need the bit down here because I'm not making a belly band out of it. I only actually need the full pattern. And I'm going to trim this, not here, but further up so that it's right up against the edges of the lace. So I'm making it a little bit smaller. Again, you can do it with your scissors, rule your line, do it with your scissors, do it on a big trimmer. Make sure your blade's sharp so that it actually cuts in the first place. And take 2 so you can see we're just about live. All right, so now we've got that. Don't think I want that quite that wide. This is where it's going to be covering. So if I fold that back there, you can see that it doesn't really need to be that wide either. It can be a little bit wider. So I'm actually going to take it down to here, to the bottom row of my lace. It depends on your envelope to the size that is going to be required. Okay, so you can see if I pull that out, I've trimmed quite a bit off that. But it was easier to do while it was still in the full strip than to have it in a separate strip and trying to trim it. Even if you're using a trimmer, a 12 by 12 trimmer type thing, you'll find it's easier that way. So here's my lovely little lace strip, and it's going to go on here. Okay, so I'm going to cut that at the size that I need it. Grab my pencil. And this one's going to go in here. Take it down a little bit just so that we can see where we need to go. And that one's going to go in there. At the moment, I'm just going to trim between the two because I can trim it off the edge later on. What I do want to do though, if you see this, it's curved. Okay, so I'm going to want to put a rounded corner on it. So I'm just using a standard corner rounder. If you've got a crocodile, you know, the one that chomps the corners, corner chomper. I don't. I just have lots of different ones of these. So that's my round. Now what I want to do is take it from there to there because this is just a little bit angled. So I'm just going to trim a little bit more off that. So now he'll fit on there. Lovely. All right, so once again, now I'm putting more ink on there because my ink, I reckon, is drying. Got to keep an eye on the time. I'm thinking we'll have time for this because everything's technically been part cut and all the rest. So I'm hoping that we can get this done. So once again, just your glue stick. Ooh. Chew that up. Sitting that there, up along there. So you can see what I mean by spreading with that. I'm not going to spread with that, I'm telling you now. Turning him over. Trimming him off. And there's that one. The only thing I suggest you do is make sure if he's a little bit wider that you haven't actually glued anything down. You can see by my ruler going in there, nothing's been glued down. So same with our other one. And I want my lace to go in. So once again, I'm going to chomp my corner that way. And I'll need to just take a little bit off that, I reckon. Probably not even that much this time. I must have had it cut on a slight angle. So, get rid of our white edge. And this is wholly and solely up to you. This is just, I don't know, an OCD thing of mine, probably. Makes me feel better. Right, we'll ink that. Ink that, no we won't. We will glue that. I've made sure I've got another glue stick sitting here just in case. I'm so proud of how organised I am. Doesn't mean something's not going to go wrong, but at the moment, I'm organised. Alright, and I thought we'd do this whole journal like a class. I'm missing teaching. I've been teaching for so many years, it's not funny to, live people in front of me. Missing it a little bit. So I thought I'd use you guys as guinea pigs. Here's the inside of our envelope now. Okay? Just like that. I like to occasionally put in journaling lines. I promised I wasn't going to stamp that much in this. I wanted things that were readily available and all the rest for you. So normally I would probably stamp a long flower stem or something in here and put my lines. Because I'm not stamping doesn't mean that 3/4 of the way through this journal I don't find that I've started stamping. So I'm just going to pop a word. Bits and pieces. I told you I'd be using a lot of the WhichCraft Do You Do one. So they've got a word one in bits and pieces. And it's got so many words, so many numbers and months and all of that, that they work a treat. Absolute treat. So I'd like one of these, this colour. And let's put a larger one up there. Moments. I'm going to need to use that. Moments, memories, anything you like. So I'm going to trim down both of those. And they're nice and flat and straight. So moments is where I'm going to. Again, I will ink around that white edge in that one. Come out, wherever you are. So you can see the white edge. There, can you see it? I can see it. Believe me, it's there. It's a thing, sorry. All right. So I'm going to pop moments just in here. I will just use a little bit of glue. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to use my tweezers because it'll hang on to it for me. And it's round about in the middle. It can be anywhere you like, it doesn't have to be the middle. What I like to do, and I'm going to move this for a moment, is rule my lines. We're not going to rule all of them, but I want to show you how I rule my lines. Sitting here in front of me is my old washi tape that I can't guarantee is awesome anymore. It's just an old one, and I know it's colour I'm not going to use, but what it does, because I like the 1/4 inch lines, and my little cutting mat, my blue one, is in centimetres. Okay, so I like 1/4 inch lines when I'm ruling lines, so I will just stick that there like that. Okay, then with that one, and I want a dark brown in a fine line, and I'm going to go down to about there to start me off, and I'm just going to rule quickly. I don't want to stop too much while I'm ruling, because even with these sorts of markers, they will leave a dot. Okay, so this is going to go down, and I just thought I might have to do all of them because it's going to be too hard to do once this is all attached into the journal. Again, you can make a pencil mark for your width of them. I don't mind when they're a little bit higgledy-piggledy. And as I said, usually I've got a stamped image there that I'm going around anyway, but doesn't take long. And it just, I find with some cases, it's nice to have lined ones. And yes, I've got stamps that have got lined ones. I've probably got 5, 6 different sizes, different widths, different lines, dots, dashes, etc. I'm sitting here with one eye closed to try and get this done. But 2 reasons I'm not doing that. Well, 3. One, I promised you no stamps. That would probably be the first one. Two, I wanted to show you how easy it was just to rule your own. And three, even if I am using stamps, every now and again, I will do this, especially if I've gone, one more, round a stamped image, because I can't get that unless I do a mask and all the rest. I can't get that with when I'm using stamps. So, peeling this one off, peeling this one off, peeling that one off. Here we go. We have our envelope. Wasn't hard, was it? Was not hard at all. So, here's our book. We're going to pop our envelope in now. We're going to attach it to our page, and then we will pop this one on. Okay, makes sense? I don't want that much in there. That much, I think, just adds unnecessary bulk. So what I tend to do is about my little ruler's width, which would be, I don't know what that is. It's a bit over 1/2 an inch, I think. 3/4 of an inch. I just tend to do that, and I will chop off the folds of my envelopes and then have these wonderful things to use later on, so that I've got it at that width. Okay? This is going to be adhered down here. And it's going to be stuck on like that. When I'm doing these, I like to use double-sided tape. It's just a me thing, especially considering I'm just using a glue stick to put my background paper on. So I want this well and truly held in place beforehand. So there's one. Give that a good push. One would probably suffice, but I'm going to give it another shot as well. Just so that the whole fold, this is just a 1/2 inch 12mm double-sided tape. I have all the sizes, of course, because you never know the type of thing you want to actually do. All right, I'll give you another hint. All these book pages are sitting like that. You really can't see where this one finishes. What I will do is grab one of my digitals, turn it over, slot it in, and now I can see where exactly that book page finishes. I'll peel off that end, and I'm going to go down there, but I'm going to turn it this way so that I can see it in front of me. And I'm hanging on to this bit. Somewhere in the centre, it's up. Actually, I'm going to turn it around the other way, like that. Because, again, my head's going to be over the top. So I'm hanging on. I'm going forward. I don't know if you guys can see now, but I can see right to the edge of my page. Okay? So he is now attached. What we're going to do now, I'm going to sit that one up in there, just so it's all there. And we're going to attach this one. We're nearly done, which is awesome. What have we been? 40 minutes. So this one, I need it to be right on the edge of that. I need to make sure that this is going to fold over. Okay. If you like, you can adhere your envelope to this. But I find if you're just starting, this is quite, if you're doing it with cardstock, it's fine. But when you're doing it with the digital that's just copy paper, it is very flimsy, and your envelope will want to make it move and all the rest, especially when you've got your glue on the back. So we're just going to work out where it's going to go. We're going to make sure our envelope will fold over that. And that will still match up there. And this one should actually sit in there beautifully. Let's have a look at where that goes. I'm going to trim just a little bit off there. Not much, just a squeeze. I'll take it from the other side, whichever side. I might just use my trimmer. So I'm just going to take, you know, just a very little bit. Make sure it's nice and straight. And I've literally just taken a sliver, and we'll trial it again. You can always keep trialing it. You can't once it's glued down. So we're going to sit that in there. That in there. Make sure he's nicely sat. That will sit in there. That's a little bit better, and that'll allow the book to fold over. Okay. Once it's on, then I will trim. Once it's on, then I will trim this bottom bit off. I do need to take away that pencil mark, and I do need to ink my two long edges, because I can't get back really into those again. I probably could with that one, but you're not going to be able to with the one that runs down the spine. Okay, like so. So this is going to go on here, like that, like that. That's all going to match beautifully. That's going to match beautifully. This is going to be glued. Put that one out of the way again. Grab my glue paper, which has got stuff on it. I'll just tear that over. Grab the old one. Turn that one over. Right. I know the last ½ inch is really not going to be needed, so I don't have to worry about that too much, because all that's going to end up doing is putting way too much glue on my fingers. So I want to go down to at least about there. Again, making sure I've got all my corners, like so. Put my lid on that one. Sorry, I had an itchy nose. I'm putting this one back in here so that I can see where I need to go, and I'm starting up in this corner again, like so. Down to this one. Fold that over. Give that a crease in there just to make sure that your envelope will fold down on it, which it will. Grab your scraper. Take that one out, and I'm going to go in here. Okay, missed a bit there. This is why I like my scraper, because I can see where I've got to and where I haven't got to. I'm going to put you in there because you're easier to get into. That glue's dried completely. Told you it was warm here today. Turn that over. And then go down that way. Okay, so now you've lost all of the bulk that was sitting there from that. And you can now actually get right into it. Into that section. And now we can trim this bit off. And when I'm trimming that bit off, I always tend to get my little one, and I'll just trim it off. Like so. Not quite. If you're using your scissors, it's probably even easier. Right. So, see this? Don't fret, because I'll show you next week's, because my other book was like it on the next page, and we fixed it. So, I'll show you how to fix that next week. Right, so here's that one. And he's going further and further. We might need to fix him straight. Well, I'll have to fix him for that one anyway. So he'll be fixed next week because that one's going to do exactly the same as my other book. In exactly the same spot. Who'd have thunk it? Right, turning this over. We're almost finished. I'm just grabbing my bits that I've got sitting here. Where are you? Oh, they're right in front of me. Again, from WhichCraft Do You Do, the tucks and bands page that we used for these guys. I've used one of them, of course, so we're going to use another one now. I think I like that one. And he's going to go in there. So all they are is this. Just cut them out, fold them, and they're done. Really, how hard are they? What I tend to do with them though, and this is just me, is I will chop a little bit more of that off. Just so that there's not quite as much bulk down there. So that they're more like that. Okay? That's just a me thing. You don't have to do that. These just get glued here and here. I've already inked around these ones. See, I was thinking of you. All right. That one. This glue's coming out way too fast. We might just use our finger on that. Just hang on a moment. Just so it doesn't smudge everywhere. There. Because I want it right on the edge here, but I don't want it on the edge there. Does that make sense? Oh, you can see that actually drying as we're going. Told you it was warm here. Right. There we go. And I want this somewhere halfway between where the envelope finishes and the bottom of the page, and the same amount on the inside, so that it's evened there and there and there and there. Give that a push down. Once again, make sure no glue has come out of it and you can actually get something out. All right, so for our journal card that we've got there, all I've done, which is sitting here beside me, but I can't actually find it. I put it here, there it is. All right, this was from the Graphic Fairy. Now, whether it's one, I think, yes it is. It's from their Forget Me Not kit, which was one of their members' kits the other week. So I printed out this one to show me what was in there, or to show you guys what was in there. I like this, I like this, I like this, and a few other little bits and pieces, but not everything. So I just print out what it is that I want. But I do like this. So I'm going to use one of those little white pieces that I said that I'd trimmed up. These ones. And we're going to pull that back out. It's going to sit in here like this. Okay. I don't want it to come out the other side of my envelope, which it doesn't, but it allows this little bit. And I want it to finish before the top of my envelope. So all I've done is tucked it into the tuck spot, and then with my pencil, which is right in front of me, I know that that's the top of my envelope, so I don't want to go past that point. So, grabbing this again, another hint, put the lid on your glue. And we're just going to trim that off. And this one's wholly and solely just a straight journal card. I want this design on the front of this. The easiest way to do that is, if you look at this design, it will literally just fit. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to sit it on my grid, because I know my sheet is straight, and I'm going to take it to the top of that flower, which is about there. So if I go to the top of that lip and then just a little bit, it'll give me to the top of that flower, which gives me my topmost point. Okay, so we're sitting in here. I want as much as I possibly can. So I'm going to go down again now. I'm just going to get rid of this bottom piece. Like that. This one I know is straight. I'm going to sit it on my grid. Or on your trimmer. Or wherever, whatever you like to work in. Because I want... So if I go off that line, it's still a little bit too large. So I'm just going to move it in a little bit. Double check if I sit that against that. It's going to cover everything a little bit further. That's where I want to go. So I'm going to make sure that I'm straight up here again now. I only need 2 sides. Okay. So that's that line down there. This one's going to go down there. Oh my word. We're not... I've lost my time, 51 minutes. So now when I glue this, I can stick this on here, this on here. Now I've got my image on there, and then I can trim off the rest. Make sense? Don't you love it when a plan comes together and it all makes sense? So, see if I've got a dirtier side than the other, because the dirtier side would be what would be glued. We're going to glue the whole thing on this. And it just sturdies it up. Is that a word? Sturdies. Makes it more sturdy. And allows for us to put a tag. So this is the corner we want. A tag or a journal card that's not going to flop around. Matching corners to corners. Pushing that down. Turning it over. And using my scraper or whatever else you've got just to give it a good push. Make sure your glue's all nicely adhered and you've got no air bubbles in there. And that's how you can adhere a larger digital page where you only want a certain section to a backing. Okay, I'll take the bottom bit out first. Now, towards the end of my journal, I will go back and I will then redecorate all of these sorts of ones. So they might have a little bit of lace on them. They might get a little bit of cheesecloth, stuff like that. But at the moment, we're getting the gist of how to go about all this to start with. Right, inking around that one. Now, and it's up to you. You could give that one rounded corners. You could give it a tag shape. You could leave it like that, put a hole in it for some thread, all sorts of things. So when we undo this, we've got him in there. I still haven't inked that bit. Like that. There we go. That's going to fold over there, so you just see some writing or something down here. And this one, we'll pop our tag in there. So our tag is literally just, just a tag. Okay, so it's that off-white cardstock. I've just covered it with some scrapbook paper, some scrap that I had, cut the tag shape in the top of it, put an eyelet in it, and put some cheesecloth in there, which will tuck in there. And that will depend on the size of your envelope. Okay, so your pocket, of course, will depend on the size of your envelope as well. I've just popped a few. See, another one of those little words. There's my journaling spot. There's this one in here like so. And then in this one, all I've done is another one of those little journaling cards with the off-white. Covered it with some book page. That's an old dictionary. Now, you could use an old dictionary, you could use a new one that you've tea-dyed to look old, or you could just use the whites of new ones. And this is literally a 1.5 inch or 1.25 inch circle punch. Fold it over with a word on it. And I've just found some scrapbook paper that was slightly blue, just to keep the blue in of that one. And that was it. So I hope you've been able to keep up. Tell me if, 1, I'm going too fast, 2, there's too much to do per lesson, and we'll work this out as we go. Let's just put that one back in there properly. So I need you girls to let me know what we're going to do, okay? Or how to go the best way about it. Now, next lesson. So this comes out on Sunday. Our next lesson will come out on the following Thursday. I have no idea what date that will be, but it's a Thursday. I have made a playlist. They will all be in the playlist. And for our next lesson, we've got our following page. And we're going to play with paper bags. Okay? Again, you will need a background. All right? I've put some lace on mine because I love lace. If you like lace, bring some lace. This is... There we go. Quick, Kylie. Quick. Right. So, we're playing with paper bags next time. You will need a paper bag. Now, mine is... I'll give you the size of mine, but unless your book is the same size, it's not going to make any difference. So, mine is around about 7.5 by 5 inches. The only thing you need to worry about is whether it'll fit from here to here on your page. Because we're going to fold it, you can fold as much or as little up if it's longer than your page. So if you see I put this one on my page, it is actually longer than my page is anyway. Oh, look at that. See, we've fixed a page. Show you about that one. So what we're going to do is that. So this one has a big tag here. It has a journaling card here. You will need, that's old scrapbook paper that I've covered these bits of my paper bag with. So you'll need some scrap paper, patterned of your choice. You will need a background paper. You will need something to make your journaling cards with. So we've got a large one, and I've just stuck to music notes this time, which are book pages. And then we've got another one in here. The tab is from WhichCraft Do You Do Bits and Pieces page, because let's face it, not all of us are that lucky to have a whale tail punch. Okay? I don't have one. I've been looking for one for years. This tab is in the kit. So, and that's their bits and pieces kit. Look at them. And there's a couple of different sizes. All right? So that's their bits and pieces. What is it? Bits and pieces something pack. I'll let you know just in case you're after it before next class. Bits and pieces set 1. All right? So that's what my words came from. It's got numbers, it's got some advertising ephemera, and it has these whale tail punches. So I've only printed out one lot at the moment. There are 3 different colour choices. So it's going to work for whatever type of colour choices you're into. But it's such a great way to have them on hand. And if you don't like any of those, you've got this kit. Cut it out, turn it around, trace around it onto the pattern paper of your choice. Just saying. Okay. So yes, so my tab is from that. And again, it's another one of those prints from Graphic Fairy. So that's what we're doing next time. I hope you'll be... I'll pull that out so that you can see it. I hope you'll be playing along. I really hope you're playing along. I hope you'll get all your bits and pieces ready. So, pattern paper for our background. Pattern paper, cardstock, whatever, to cover your paper bag. A paper bag. Something for your journaling cards. In any, you could have, you know, music notes going on all of them, or you could have anything you like. And I've got a little bit of lace to cover the top of my bag along there because I like lace. So I'm starting relatively quick and easy, hoping. And we'll work our way through to all sorts of different flips and all the rest. Thank you all so much for coming along on this journey. I'm so pleased that you guys are actually working with me on this. And until next time, happy crafting. Enjoy your book. Bye.